we have an opportunity to get in on the ground floor as citizens of the FLR network. Not as products, not as fans, but as citizens and participants of the network, where we bring value and utility to the network, and thereby we are rewarded with network rewards, which decentralizes the data on the data provisioning network. And we have governance rights. So we have a vested ownership stake in the network. There's the asset and the network. The asset is the native gas token, but that comes with an ownership right of the network. It means you get distribution rights. If you're wrapping and delegating to FTSOs, that is the single largest way to earn massive amounts of FLR. The broader community does not visually see, because it's not an easy, on the surface, pops right out at you. Oh, here's 40% APY. You could earn this. It's a little more complicated. The barrier is higher. The learning curve's higher. It's a little more complex. It takes a little more effort to understand. It takes some broader knowledge of blockchain and the DeFi ecosystem to understand how the FSS system works, where cross-chain is going, the future. Most of the community sees this as a token airdrop, and that's about it. There is a significant number of the 5 to 10 million people who understand what this is, and that is all that is necessary. We do not need 5 to 10 million people as the foundation for the FLR network. We need a core foundation of participants who want to be there, who want to provide value and build the ecosystem. And with that, you get the benefits of being rewarded, and it's all about accumulation in the beginning. While everyone else is distracted by price, accumulation will be what the smart money will be doing, and then taking that FLR and putting it to work while still simultaneously earning the FTSO delegations and compounding them. And then the monthly distribution of 650 million FLR per month will come out. So that means 1 week to either purchase tokens, sell tokens, do whatever, and then there'll be an announcement that a vote will be in 7 days from that date, and then there'll be a random date chosen when the vote power will be recorded from. So the vote power for voting in the governance vote won't be at the day of the governance vote. It'll be a random block during the week prior's epoch. That proposal will then get triggered after 7 days of voting. If it passes the threshold, it gets triggered, implemented, and the 30 days start. And now within those 30 days, there will be 3 random snapshots. And the system is designed so there's no way anyone's going to game the system or front run, because the snapshots don't even occur until the end of the month. So once the 30 days is over, it then goes back and takes 3 random snapshots of blocks during that month of every account's vote power. So even if you're delegating it, even if you have it in different accounts, even if it's in this potential delegation account, they're going to call it, or escrow account, you still get recorded to your account. So the vote power is always attached to the token holder, no matter what. Even if it's delegated somewhere else, even if it's having its rewards sent to crowdfund something, it's still the ownership of the token holder. And what's great about the design is that there literally is no risk by design that the vote power can have a bug in it, a smart contract can get locked, whatever could technically happen, and it will never affect your ability to move your actual token that the vote power is attached to it. It will never inhibit that, and you'll always be able to freely move it. And this is built by design because it's detachable, it's API. And when it comes to compliance, this is far better than staking. There is no way anyone could argue that staking is better than this model because you don't give up custody and you're able to utilize the token while delegating. And you're able to direct those rewards somewhere else. And you have another governance vote that's attached to it. All the smart contracts on Flare for the tokens will be synonymous with each other and they'll have similar designs. And this vote power is a new primitive in a way. Expect. Don't just say, oh, maybe it will happen. No, it will happen. All dApps will have the ability to allow you to earn the FTSO rewards. And don't get too caught up in feeling like you got to pick the top 10 providers, because that show's over when we go to Flare. With the 2.5% vote power cap and these infrastructure providers and Kraken running a FTSO and a validator and block daemon and probably some exchanges too, that's going to level everything out. Some institutional players and other FTSOs that are run by dApps. It's going to level everything out. So basically, it's going to be other things that you're going to be looking for on who to delegate to. It's not going to be this bunch up at the top. There is probably not a better opportunity that you could have been able to get in on the ground floor with zero investment going forward. And they've taken this much time, should be looked at as an absolute positive. If you followed along with all the developments of what they have built and what they're trying to achieve here and how they've expanded the vision to these 4 pillars of Web 2 composability, a multi-chain constellation where different state connectors on different Flare networks and Songbird networks and maybe Algorand all can connect in a very tight, intertwined multi-chain. That's even more intertwined than Polkadot or Cosmos ever could be, but has outside interoperability as well. That's the vision here. And they have the protocols and they designed the components to make that happen. You can't just spin up one protocol and try to copy. This is complex stuff, and not gonna lie, it's not something everyone's gonna pick up on right away. But that's what makes it an opportunity. The next wave, they're coming. Different tokenized assets and data privacy is coming. All of that. We're seeing it. Even though things are as dark and grim as they could be, it looks like, crypto's world is collapsing on itself, and it's lucky if it survives. But underneath all of that, the builders are building for better infrastructure. It might just take a little while, but the opportunities on Flare are going to be massive. Accumulate, and then deploy.
We make design decisions such that we feel the risk is limited, because we feel that if you can remove risk from blockchain or reduce the risk of using blockchain, then we have a much greater probability of becoming an industry that can support mass utility. Our game as an organization within the industry is to mediate the risk in blockchain such that people feel comfortable to use it. And as a result of that, the usage increases substantially. Almost all of the bridges you've seen, almost all the bridge hacks you've seen have an audit. And the audit process, to our mind, is somewhat broken. So a team will go away and build a product, and then they'll have a 4 or 5 week audit at the end of the product build. We think that 4 or 5 weeks is not enough time to get an audit team, an external audit team, to understand every aspect of how a bridge works or how a protocol works. So we think that the audit industry, or the way it's structured, is somewhat antithetical. The way we are building our protocols is by embedding the auditor into the build from pretty much day one. This costs us 5 to 6 times more to audit the protocol, but we think that is a substantially better way to do it. So that's one of the areas that we mediate risk. And then the last is testing. But we've been extremely rigorous with testing. We have a test net, then we have a canary net. So a canary net is essentially FLR, but it's an explicit beta version of FLR. So it's like our version of Kusama. It's where we intend to test our protocols. It's where we will also direct grant recipients to test their protocols. Because it's not just us that suffer from the potential for issues. It's every developer that builds on FLR. So we think that the more you test, the better. The more you test with real value on our canary net, the better.
I love embedding the auditor from day one. It's just a fantastic way to get them started.
We're relatively well capitalized. We have some very defined things that we want to ship, but we'd rather ship something that we've truly done everything in order to make it as robust as possible, because at the end of the day, we're building products that deal with people's money.
Of course.
And I do actually find the attitude generally within the space when it comes to dealing with people's hard-earned money to be a little bit lax. There are many cultures around the world where when you lose people money, there is a large amount of shame. And I feel as a development community, crypto could do with adopting that kind of mentality a little bit.
Yep.
It's not to say we won't have hiccups. We probably will. But if we've designed our products properly, the hiccups that we may suffer will be of far less consequence than if we design them in the way that many of the existing products have been designed.
So I was always of the mind that this system was going to be ripe for some kind of a disruption. And when I saw DeFi, I started to see where that disruption was going to come from. And I started to understand that this is going to be where it goes. And what I've tried to tell people is what you need to understand about this new DeFi system is it will start in the third world and it will grow from there in the second world, third world, and then it will come here and completely flatten you. States, I don't see us in any way being the leader in this. I think we are going to, it's going to be rammed down our throat is what it's going to be. And it just occurred to me that this is a brand new financial system and that this is going to replace the current CeFi financial system.